Alright, what's up everyone? I just wanted to quickly talk to you guys today about my changes on MK11, what I would like changed and what I would like fixed. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this balance change throughout multiple different videos. So right now, this will be the long video kind of explaining every single change that I would like to have, along with what I call NRS changes. And basically what NRS changes are is just what NRS will probably end up changing because they don't want to do as much work as the work that I'd want them to do. So let me go ahead and get started, and like I said, I will probably do separate videos for each individual change, so then that way you guys can watch it in 5-minute intervals, because I do understand that some people like that kind of speed of the videos. So let's get started. So first thing I would ask to be changed is breakaway. Breakaway punishes. I want to make breakaways give automatic Oki after last move has been inputted from attacker. So basically what that means is if you do a move and the move hits your opponent and your opponent breaks, the move has to finish before they can wake up. Also, what I would like to have is have it to where you cannot fast break special launchers. So basically what that means is right now you can break instantly after being launched by special moves or special moves that launch. What I would ask is that instead of being able to break immediately after a special launcher, it gives you a either delay break or a long break, I think is what it's called in the practice mode. In the practice mode, you've got fast, delay, and long. I would just have it to where you could only do a delay or a long break. So basically, you can't break immediately, which means moves like Melina's ball roll, moves like I think is it Raiden? No, it's Shiva's her dragon rush move. You can break it instantly. So I would prevent you from being able to break moves instantly. Same thing with some of Scorpion's moves. You can break them instantly. His teleport, I think it is. And you wouldn't be able to break it. So basically, he'd get a chance to hit you with back 3. And if you broke, you'd get launched. So then basically every breakaway move would work. Or every breakaway armor breaker would work. Now, here's the NRS change. So the NRS change would mean just make breakaway force delay get up. So basically you would just get a force delay get up anytime you broke away. And again, going back to the NRS changes, the reason why I made the NRS changes is just simply because this is probably the least amount of work NRS would have to do to change the breakaway that would help fix it. My changes would require a lot more work, and I understand NRS at this point that they don't want to put a lot of work into making big changes, especially on certain mechanics that they wanted in the game. So next, wake up attacks. So for wake up attacks, I would remove wake up forward roll. I think it has no place in this game. I think the fact that you can combo your opponent for free for them just doing a basic meaty that you're supposed to do in every other fighting game is absurd. Wake up backward roll would cost 1 bar of offensive and 1 bar of defensive. So now you basically cannot do any wake up attacks. You have to do delay wake up as a wake up attack, I guess, if you only had defensive bar and you had no offensive bar. This would help it to where you'd be able to do more meaties, there would be more pressure on knockdown, and people can slip out of your pressure just because they wanted to play the wake up system and they didn't want to play like actual Oki. NRS change would be make both rolls cost 1 bar of offensive and defensive. So basically, and that would be the only change that I'd want NRS to do if they didn't want to do anything else, is because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, there's a high chance that they might not ever remove forward roll. Same thing with flawless blocking on wake up, you wouldn't be able to do it. So basically you couldn't delay wake up and then flawless block, because right now what you can actually do is you can delay wake up, wait for them to do attack, and flawless block on delay wake up. So you basically get the wake up system on flawless block on a delay, and that's ridiculous. That needs to be gone. When you delay wake up, you should get no options. Now, this is definitely my change. Just because of how I played MK11, I can understand why people wouldn't want this change, and feel free to mention this in comments. But throws. Throws lose pseudo mid properties. This means that you cannot grab people out of pokes. They are true highs. But throws will recover faster, so you cannot pump block OS or delay wake up down 2. This is extremely important because basically what this means is when I throw you, I recover so quick that you will not be able to pump, hold the block button down and let go, and then hold it again, and basically prevent yourself from getting hit by a 13 frame mid, and also be able to micro duck, or not micro duck, but duck a throw. I'd recover in time so you wouldn't be able to punish me with a string or down 2. Same thing with delay wake up. Basically, I'd recover quickly with the throw so you wouldn't be able to delay wake up and down 2 crushing blow me. Down 2 crushing blows. Down 2 crushing blows now only work on throws. So you can't do them on random highs just because you were just fishing for the down 2 crushing blow and I happen to do a high. Crushing blow rework. Every character gets a crushing blow counter or punish. Raw damage off a crushing blow for 250 at least, or a crushing blow counter punish launcher. So basically what this means is right now Katana has a crushing blow launcher that's a counter. It's back 142. There's a few other characters in the game that have something similar. Noob Saibot has one for 320 damage. His back 1 throw 2 is a counter or a punish crushing blow that does raw damage. I would have it to where every character in the game has some sort of option to do at least 250 damage off of their crushing blow counter or punish. So every character will have this. That way, when you don't have a meterless launcher, you have some way to get damage to punish your opponent. Because right now, some characters, when you go to punish multiple times, if you don't have bar, you literally cannot get as much damage for a punish. So basically, it just rewards players for doing risky shit when you don't have a bar of offensive meter. And I don't like this because Cetrion actually has this. So Cetrion only usually does like 18 damage into restand, but she actually has a crushing blow counter. So the best character in the game has a crushing blow counter, even though her weakness is supposed to be that she only does 18%. So that's ridiculous. Like, everyone should have one, so they have some way to get damage when they don't have an option with offensive meter. And just kind of going back to the same thing with the launcher, I would have it to where the launcher does not, or the crushing blow could either do a counter raw damage or it starts as a launcher. So basically they have the option to break. So you'd have to work around you'd have to work around their 2 bars of defensive meter. Anti-air / jump ins. So, I would have it to where the start of the down 2s have head invincibility, last 2 frames of startup, first 2 frames of active. Tom Brady has talked about this. You can go into his video. He talks a little bit more about it, how it's important to have it in the end frames of the startup and the beginning frames of the active. That way you won't get kicked out of your down 2. Head invincibility only. Then I would make standing jabs. A lot of people don't talk about this, but I would make standing jabs also have head invincibility on air attacks, but less frames. So basically, you would still be able to anti-air with standing jabs into full combo, but due to the fact that the collision in this game with the jump kicks is just too horizontal, I think having some other option to where you can combo people from jumping, I think is fair, because if you go back and you play MK9, that was the option. Basically, jump-ins were good, but jump-ins could be easily countered too. Just because jump-ins can be easily countered doesn't mean people don't jump. People jumped all the time in MK9, and this is kind of why I think that giving standing jabs some sort of head invincibility, although less than the down 2s, I think would be super important for getting people out of the air. Now, that's just an opinion that I would do. NRS change, I would just make it to where the jump kicks collision is smaller, or make them all -7 on block. Only the jump kicks are -7 on block. And then I would tell them to consider removing the jump kick OSs, because as of now you could do a jump kick into like Nomad Dash or something like that, or Scorpion's jump kick into teleport, and it just OSs for you for free, and that's just ridiculous. You get 30% damage off a jump kick without having to do any effort. You just jump and you get free offense. So, and then I would make super jumps to have less active frame / collision. So that means like Jackie's jump in, Cabal's jump in, Katana's her dashing move. I would have all those have less collision because the super jumps are just ridiculous, and the fact that you can jump at me from full screen and I can't zone you at all is ridiculous. Now meter, I would make it to where meter does not come back between rounds. I'd make certain moves force longer cooldown, like Jackie's leap, Cetrion's tornado, and Noob's slide. So basically, certain metered moves would take longer to come back, especially the very oppressive offensive ones like the ones I mentioned. Flawless blocks. I would remove flawless block up to as a punish outside of gaps. I'm a little still unsure on this, but I do feel like that would make the game better overall, just preventing you from being able to use flawless block up twos like armor. Excuse me. Sorry, allergies. And then I'd adjust the up twos to make their collision more up threes to make their collision more consistent. So for example, Katana right now, her up three is not very good because she stands back too far. So you can actually jump at her pretty easily and she can't get you out of the air with an up three. I would change it to where the collision is more consistent. So maybe make it more of a true mid. So when you jump at her, the mid hits you, kind of like Scorpions. And then I would say, you cannot flawless block on hit stun. You cannot flawless block on wake up or delay wake up. And then I would also say that when you flawless block, so flawless blocking on hit stun basically is like you get hit and I go to jail my string and you flawless block because you're able to block, you know, on perfect frame. I would remove that. Then I would also say make all flawless block moves when flawless block punishable. So right now, Scorpion's flawless block up 3 is not punishable unless you burn a bar to do your own flawless block. I would do it to where you can flawless block his up 3 and he's minus 10. He's just an example. Fatal blows. I would make fatal blows not return on block or on whiff. I would make them minus 40 on block or whiff. Well, and on whiff. I would make full screen fatals only do 250 damage. And I'd make fatal blows not have any added effects like Jack's heat, so Jax wouldn't get any heat from doing a fatal blow. He has an 11 frame fatal blow, that is fine. And then the NRS change would be make fatal blows to where they have 0 pushback, because they might not want to change the frame data on that. Now, universal changes for moves. So we're pretty much almost done. Make special launchers force, delay, breakaway. We talked about that. Make non-attacking teleports recover a few frames longer. Make all down 4, down 3s jail into standing buttons. Remove the ability to low profile jump-ins. Remove some of the low profiling issues with strings. Make moves change in the move list so additional attacks do not conflict with special moves and replace them. So for instance, Sub-Zero's shoulder, Katana's Fanado, and Melina's Loci. So basically when you choose these moves, they don't replace any of the moves in the game or in your character's base kit. So for example, Katana's Fanado would be a completely different input. It would be like down back 3 and you'd be able to do a Fanado, and you'd also be able to do fan lift in the same variation. And Sub-Zero's shoulder would be different than his slide. Melina's Loci would come along with her high Sai if you chose the Loci as a custom move. It would be a completely different input and she'd be able to do both. I just wanted to quickly go back to make all down 4, down 3s jail into standing buttons. The reason why I say this is because right now, if you look at Terminator, his down 4 is not plus enough to jail into any of his buttons. That's unfair. You shouldn't have to do 2 pokes to get your turn. We're already playing a game where certain characters don't have mids that are fast enough to deal with down 1 nonsense. We need to get rid of that more, and the only way we're going to do that is by making pokes all jail into standing highs. All of them. All of them should have that option, and you can't flawless block. And then with make non-attack teleports recover a few frames longer. This would help with moves like Raiden's teleport, Cetrion's teleport, Scorpion's teleport. Basically, you'd be able to react a little bit better to their whiffed teleports, or the teleports that don't attack at all. You'd be able to get more punishes on Cetrion and Raiden, per se. Make down 1, down 3, down 4 on block, backdash, reduce recovery frames. So basically, anytime you do down 1, down 3, or down 4 on block and you backdash, your recovery frames... Oh, this is wrong. I apologize. So your active frames, or your startup frames on your dash will be longer, not reduce recovery frames. So basically, you'd have to recover... Your startup on your dash would be much, much longer compared to just doing a down 1 on block and blocking, or down 1 on block, waiting a few frames, and then backdashing. Because right now, against certain characters, you can actually do down 1 on block backdash, and they can't really do much because they only have a down 1 to work with to deal with your backdash, and that's ridiculous. Adjust certain 2-move slots to be 1 slot. So Scarlet's Blood Ball, Katana's Adenian Fade, and Baraka's Lunge. Those should all be 1 slot. There's no reason to why they should be 2. There's no reason. They should all be 1 slot. They're not that good. And more 2-slot moves should be 1 slot. Make neutral defying moves move on more minus on block. So for instance, Sindel's Hair Flip, Sub-Zero Slide, and Jade's Flying Kick. They can stay the same frames. The same active frames are fine. The problem is when they do the slide and you don't get the punish. You should be able to get the punish consistently like we did in MK9. In MK9, they were like minus 30, minus 40. You were getting the punish. In this game, they are not that minus. They need to be more minus. Sindel's Hair Flip is a good example too. It just needs to be more minus so you can get the punish more consistently. And it's not a reaction issue. Everyone has dealt with it before. Even the pro players, that certain slides will go unpunished, you know, and that needs to be stopped. Like, if you defy neutral, you need to be punished for being blocked. And then make it to where you can't amp certain moves on block, like teles, special reversals, since there's no EX moves in this game. So, in previous games, with EX moves, you couldn't amp them after you did them on block. You had to amp them as soon as you wanted to input the move. In this game, it's not like that. So what I would do is, like, for instance, moves like... Or Katana's move's actually a good example. She can't amp her square wave on block. It's an overhead, but she can't amp it on block. Moves like Jade's Flying Kick, Scorpion's Teleport, they need to be the same way. You can't amp them on block. You do it, and that's it. And I get the punish. Because right now, it's a guessing game sometimes. You have to figure out the exact frames of when to punish both. That's ridiculous. You should just get the punish because they tried to defy neutral, and they shouldn't be able to amp it. And if they can't amp it, they can only amp it before they do it on block. But anyway, that's everything. Those are just kind of the lists. I think what I'll do is I'll do separate videos for each one, kind of going into a little bit more detail on what I want changed. But these are kind of the big things that I think are important. The big ones... Oh, and I actually forgot one. Breakaway is another one. You should be able to break away, or you should be able to break away with either breakaway, or either a block and forward, or stance switch and down. One of the two. I would say that's just a quality of life issue that I don't know why they haven't changed. Like, sometimes you'll get breakaway and you'll just lose all your meter from a projectile because you're just blocking. That's ridiculous. And then, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but special meter should not come back in between rounds. That just makes sense. Right now, people just kind of roll to fraud you out and get a free combo when you knock them down at the end of the round. And sometimes they just steal the win. That's ridiculous. That needs to go. So remove that. You shouldn't build meter at all in between rounds. Like, people need to be able to work for their meter. They need to conserve. Right now, people just burn meter, and they don't care because it's coming back for free, you know? So that needs to change for sure. But yeah, those are the big ones. I think the one I'm going to touch probably on the most is anti-airs and breakaway. I think those are the two big ones that everyone keeps talking about. Excuse my voice, sorry. My throat's not feeling the best, but yeah, those are the two big ones that I want to talk about. But aside from that, yeah, I would say that I'm going to go over each one individually in separate videos. So I will see you guys later. Subscribe for more, and see you on stream.